All right, welcome everyone to Dave Cooper Live, where today we are talking about housing headlines, builder headwinds, and what you need to know about elevated interest rates, persistent supply chain disruptions, and increasingly high home prices. What else? Well, an inside look at IBS 2023. That's right, the app. The preview. You're not going to believe how many new people and new products you will find at the International Builders Show starting January 31st in Las Vegas. So please give a 2 thumbs up for today's guest, Greg Ugaldi, NAHB past chair, and John McGarry, Senior Vice President of Business Development and Brand Strategy with the best hair ever at the National Associations of Home Builders. Yes, I'm jealous of his hair. But first, we're only able to deliver these informative conversations thanks to our sponsors, including Carson Holmquist and the team at Stream Logistics. They are experts in high-stake freight. They are the perfect choice for projects with timelines and a specific delivery sequence. Shipments with high complexity and unique constraints deserve new methods of transportation. Check them out at streamlogistics.com. And a big shout out to CombiLift. Can't move all this stuff around without them. They are the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, and offering a free warehouse and site optimization services. A big shout out and thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Check them out at combilift.com. And we need the technology to make it all happen as well. Brave Control Solutions, we're offsite manufacturing systems that do more than just improve productivity. They have a unique approach to industrialized construction, a lineup of flexible automation systems specifically designed for the construction industry and powered by CAD to Fab, turnkey solutions for 3D volumetric assembly, structural insulated panels, finished wall assemblies, MEP, component processing, assembling, kitting, and storage. Check them out at thinkbrave.com. All right. We got a quick, fast-paced show today for you, so we're going to hop right into it. Let's bring Greg Ugaldi into the mix. Greg, how are you?
Good, Dave. How are you? It's great to be back with Jennifer and yourself today. We look forward to it.
Well, we look forward to having you guys on. We love the updates we get, especially the guy with the best hairdo at the whole National Association of Home Builders himself, John McGarry.
Now everybody's going to be looking at him.
I know. He has a full head of hair. I wish I had it. But listen, Greg, we haven't had you on since last year. There's a lot to go over today. We're going to really work through some banners and what we're doing. But why don't you first, because this is the first year you're not the past chair, why don't you give everybody an update on what you're currently doing? I know you just brought in a new president came in Connecticut at the Connecticut Builders Association, right? So why don't you give us a quick update and then let's jump into it.
Sure. So we are as busy as ever. As you know, we're going to talk about it today. We have a lot of challenges that face our industry. So I've still focusing a lot on the national level. So I'm on our HBI and National Housing Endowment, but I'm also really engaged back with our local and state at those levels to try and bring some people into the system, get them on board, get them in some leadership positions, get them ready to go to IBS. So there's a lot going on. There's never a dull moment, but it's worth it. It's worth it to work with everybody and make sure that we help our industry as much as we possibly can.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what it's all about, working together, growing together, networking. And, you know, we got to keep moving everything forward. And we got to make sure that the builders and the stakeholders that are out there have the tools that they need to be successful. And that's one of the things that you work on. And that's what the International Builders Show does as well. And I'm looking forward to touch on that. So let's hop into it, Greg. Hot topic. I mean, right? The recession. What do you see happening with this housing recession right now?
So it's interesting, right, Dave? Because right now there's a ton of debate, and it's whether or not we are in a recession as a country, the economy, the worldwide economy. One thing we know for sure, though, housing is going to be in a recession. And when we look at it, because of, and a lot of things are coming into play here, you've got aggressive the Fed is being so aggressive, and we're going to get more into that too about with the interest rates and monetary policy, but it's the scarcity. It's really when you look at supply as being such a key component for pricing and for what it means for our industry. We are in a position now that, unlike economic difficulties in the past, where we've had a glut in the marketplace that have led toward trouble, we don't have that now. Our shelves are bare in a lot of ways, where we're going to build apartment units, single family homes, and that's really the key. And that's why and there's a lot of indicators out there that are showing how serious a concern it is. And many states are focusing on it in 2023, this housing piece, because it's so important for everybody's state economies as well as the country.
It is important, and affordable housing is important, and having enough housing for everybody that needs it, super important. Greg, Wells Fargo says the housing market index, we've had 12 consecutive months of decline. So how far do you think it's going to go?
So right now it's at a 31, which is low. You're really shooting. Mendoza line is the 50 mark, where we're hoping that more builders see some positive statistics and see some things like that were coming out of it. Not right now. I mean, 12 months in a row, a decrease, as you said, is a concern. I mean, we are looking at a difficult time. So what that does is it captures the builder's mentality when they're looking at what are they going to produce now, what's in front of them. And so it's a very good index, and it's pretty telling when you see that we've dropped from, 16 months ago in the 80s. And so now if we're at 31, it just shows you what people are feeling when they get up in the morning and go to their offices. We have to battle through, really bull the neck in 2023 and fight all these things that we'll go into.
So let's talk about the fight, right? Especially for the builders. What are the headwinds that we're going to be running into? I mean, we're looking at the elevated interest rates. We're looking at persistent supply chain disruptions. You said it earlier. Some of our shelves are still empty, whether it's for product on the market or product in the local store. And the home prices, they're still really high. It's expensive out there. It's expensive to own a new home these days.
It really is. And it's expensive to own, and it's expensive to rent. So when you look at interest rates increasing at the pace that the Fed feels that they need to keep increasing in order to fight inflation. Now, there's a lot of, and Dr. Dietz goes into this and he helps us with this, how lagging a lot of the housing and rental stats are. So if you're not careful, you could keep raising interest rates and go shooting past a target in order to keep the housing market from just stalling. So right now, just to give people an example, Dave, if you look at the increase from a year ago to today, we've added on an average home, $400,000, just picking numbers that can work. We've actually added about $1,000 a month increase on what people are paying to own because of the interest increase. Now, there's all different things that you can tweak and play with there, but keep in mind the seriousness of that. Each month now, people have that much less to use for spending and for saving and for everything, because it's costing an extra $1,000 for where you're living. And it happens in rental and it happens in home ownership. But that's how aggressive these interest rate increases have been. So the Fed, we talk to them all the time. As you know, that's one of the things that we do, and they do understand what our concerns are. So hopefully you're starting to see the mentality that, okay, certainly they're slowing it down a bit. We still may see another hike or two. We need that to happen, because to go along with that are still nothing has completely been resolved with all of the supply issues for materials, labor. Not only is it getting more expensive, it's hard to come by. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
that
right.
those are the things that affect us. And all that leads to, what do I always talk about? Housing affordability issues. And that, with these increasing home prices, and it doesn't look like that they're going to slow down anytime soon, because remember, supply has such an important impact on home prices. And
Yeah.
as you start taking supply and diminishing it, prices are going to go up.
For sure. And we're gonna get into the what some of the builders are doing here in a second. But why are the shelves still so empty of product, Greg? I know it's got to be something you guys are looking at. Like, really, what is stopping the suppliers from restocking the shelves? You hear, a lot of people talk about, well, they're gouging or they're doing it on purpose to raise prices. But what are you seeing, and talking when you talk to the suppliers out there, of what's really happening?
There's a lot of factors, and unfortunately, what do we always say? That it's not a magic bullet to fix these things. So labor, a big part of it. Just delivery and those type of things. But there also are shortages in a lot of things. It's very hard to predict. You saw us go through the lumber, and we talked about how at certain times that was averaging 20 over that for when you added lumber increases to
Yeah, that's right.
every home. So we were able to get some of that under control. But right now, when you look across the board, and Dr. Dietz, Rob's telling us that it's like a 20% increase year over year for materials. I mean, you start looking at that and the other
That's right.
things that are coming at us with codes, and we go into all of that for your listeners, because it's just so important that you understand that in all of these things too really rely on a steady pace of approvals and entitlements around the country, um, being obtained in a timely fashion so people can keep going. So
That's right.
communities are approved and ready, shovel ready, it's called, to get in, to start putting in the sewer and the water and get these sites ready so that they can be built on.
That's
A
right.
lot of that, because of the COVID pressures and the various interest rate pressure, it's just not happening as well as we would like. And those are the types
Right.
of things that really, again, cause us heartache.
Yeah, sure. And you add fuel and oil on top of shipping and everything else, and all these things all add up pretty quick. All right, so we have all of those problems that are out of our hands when it comes to the supply as builders, as developers, right? So how do we still sell our product? How do we, work with the homeowners to still move our products on the market? What kind of incentives are they adding right now?
So the reason why I really felt that your listeners need to look at this, Dave, is it's hand in hand with the HMI index, right? As that goes down, look at this one. 60% of our builders, when we go across the country and ask, what are you doing now to combat some of these things in your marketplace? Here it is, 60% of builders using incentives. Now, I should talk. We had a chance to talk a little bit about this with Jennifer and before the show too. And John, just how important it is that when you're a builder and you're a developer and you have a community coming online, once you sell to people and they're your customers, you take pride in making sure that that asset of theirs maintains its value. And you really don't want to think about dropping prices. And our members, we really feel strongly about that. So what do you come up with? Well, you might come up with some options that you offer. Maybe you're going to say, look, we're going to add the um, uh, carpet padding. We're going to upgrade your cabinets. We're going to give you more outlets. There's all sorts of packages that you can use to add value. Maybe you cut back and give a discount on lot premiums so that you're not affecting the value of the home. That is the one thing. And 60% of builders, and that's only going to go up this year. We're talking about January, we're at 60%. Other ways are, of course, through financing. You're going to see people trying to find what products Are you going to buy down rates for people? That's looked at. So, what we talked about, $1,000 more per month, maybe you try to eat into that by buying down the interest rate for some of your buyers, right? And so when you look at the package, it's really never ending how creative people can get when you start talking about incentives. If you sign a contract by the end of the week, we're going to pay your closing costs, so that you keep everybody energized and motivated to bring the deal to fruition. So there's all sorts of packages right now, and you're going to hear a lot more about that. Probably next time I'm on, I'll even be able to update you more. But you're seeing everything being looked at and reviewed right now, trying to hit 2023 as strong as possible by creating an atmosphere where buyers feel that they're getting that good deal and this is a good time to buy.
Well, you hit a good part, and with saying that, you saw pro tip across the bottom. If you are a developer or a builder, incentives are big, not just for the builder to move more product, but also for the homeowner and the local community. They don't want to see housing prices drop, right? We buy houses for equity and to build our wealth and all these good things. And so all of this is really intertwined in an interesting conversation. So I appreciate the insight, and we're looking forward to seeing more about that here in the upcoming weeks. For sure. All right. Elevated construction costs, and we talk about aggressive monetary policy. What are your thoughts on that?
When we start balancing now, why are we having such difficulty in the housing markets as we look across the country? Elevated construction costs, everything from labor increases, right? So we still have over 300,000 job openings in our industry. We try to fill those, and labor has gone up because of all these other pressures. The cost of labor goes up. You spread that over into materials. We talk about 20% year over year, everything, with some of them, the added treachery of such long order lead times is difficult because that also adds to the cost, never mind the price increases themselves. So, and every day you hear about the Federal Reserve has to keep battling inflation. That's job one as they see it. They're not wrong about that. What we try to help and coach along is how aggressive do they really need to be? We've seen it now, slow at least. The impact of inflation is slowing, so that we're hoping that we don't just keep slamming the rates and increasing. Where the projections that Dr. Dietz has is that as early as late 2023, but certainly in 2024, that we will see some subsiding there, and people being able to possibly, who knows, we don't have a crystal ball, but possibly be able to even refinance out of higher rates if they start buying now. And we would like nothing more to see the market still producing and selling homes, and the rental community still flourishing like we try to be at all times anyway.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Dr. Dietz, head economist for the NAHB, and quickly become one of my favorite people because he recently just said that everything that's going on, it is a door open to see more offsite construction, industrialized construction. So there's wins out of these hard times too for our industry, and I think that's one of them. So big shout out to Dr. Dietz, and there's not too many economists that can make me smile, but he is one of them. He's a good presenter as well. All right, so we got one more topic before we get into bringing John McGarry on the show with us to talk about IBS, and that is what you guys do best at the NAHB, and that is advocacy, workforce development, building codes, proposed labor regulation, and again, talking to the feds about interest rate and how it affects our industry, and trying to come up with, positive ways to work together to put something out that's good for the mass population. Yes?
Yes. And just on that too, the labor regulation has a lot to do with these independent contractor rules and trying to make sure that we're fair, so that smaller builders especially don't think they have to bring everybody in on their payroll, and can be creative as far as setting up good, solid labor performance at their job sites. And then, when you look at it, what we're banging the drums on are still the topics that we know are going to be nagging at us and that we have to get out in front of. So workforce development, we are all in through our HBI Home Building Institute with our National Housing Endowment providing funds to get a lot of this done. Dave, you talk a lot about this on your show, and we really appreciate it too, because it's getting new faces as well as figuring out how we are going to try to average down some of these real aging out of a lot of the subcontracting areas like plumbers and electricians. The average age is really rising in just about every state. You look at New England and on the East Coast, the West Coast, it's a battle that we have to fight. And building codes is a new one, because built into that, you have resiliency and energy efficiency. And what people have to realize, builders are all in on building it better, and is, your motto and how we look at it, and trying to really be conservative when it comes to energy and so on. The thing that we can't afford to do is turn a blind eye toward what these costs are. So that just because you feel that it might be better, we really need science behind all of these things. And that's why the platforms that you have in trying to share the education is so key. So our governor got aggressive here in Connecticut, and it's been in New England. It's all over the country. But he wanted to be one of the first ones in with these new codes.
Yeah.
And we're already estimating that on new construction, it's going to be between $12,000 and $22,000 extra per home. I mean, just on codes. Yeah. So we talked about the materials, 20%. We're talking about interest rates. Think about what we're bringing to the marketplace now, and why these things are so critical that we try to get out in front of. So advocacy, as you said, it's our focus. We're going to have a lot of meetings on those topics at IBS. And that we don't stop when we're there. You and I will be talking and in the halls quite a bit, trying to get people to interview on these things, and so that we can pull a lot of information together. Yeah. But that's what it's all about. It's about doing our best to educate and to influence in the right way a lot of these policies, so that we try to make sure that the next generation of homeowners and renters can actually afford to do so.
Yeah, speaking of renters, Peter Cooperman had a comment. I just want to put it up before we get to our next part of the series here that we're talking. He said, this is Peter Cooperman. By the way, everybody, Black Buffalo, right? If you were at the IBS last year, we did our show from their booth outside. It wasn't a booth. We did it from underneath their printer. Unfortunately, it was raining, but we still got the show off and had fun.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. And they will be there this year as well. So thanks for joining, Peter. It's always a pleasure. He says, I have some friends looking for homes now, and they are reevaluating the whole rent versus own equation with current rates where they're at. Very tough market right now for many that have lease renewals coming up. I mean, it's very true, right? With the cost of even leases going up and rent, like people find themselves, really, really stuck in a hard spot. So, unfortunately, he had to go. They in his office, they were telling him to shut the tech down. That's what happens when you got these big printers out there doing these things. So, super cool.
See you at IBS. Good.
Yeah, and thanks for the support, Peter. We appreciate you, and I know Greg and John appreciate you coming to IBS and showing your tech. All right, so here we are, Greg. Right. We got the International Builders Show coming up. It's back in Las Vegas, which I know everybody loves Vegas for this show. What 1 million square feet of walking space, right? I mean, it's a lot. Yep. It's a lot. Bring your tennis shoes. Don't show up in your leather work shoes, because it hurts by the end of the day.
You're so right, David. And just picture this if you can. So you watch the football games over the weekend. It's well over 40 football fields of exhibit space. Think about that. 40 of those. And there's a lot going on. And we've got the dates up for you right on the screen. And it's it's so exciting, and John's going to get into it a lot. But, when we start talking about 100,000 people in the city, and the thing about Las Vegas and why that we are relocating permanently to Las Vegas is because it can hold us now. We are one of the very largest shows, and it's important that people are comfortable and they can get around and they're not sitting on shuttles forever. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about there, and we're going to let John do some of that. We got to get his noggin. Everybody wants to see his hair soon, so we'll get moving here.
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't we bring John in? How about we do that? Or you want to get into the coffee and conversation first?
Yeah, I think let's do that, because I think that I have to, before John gets going, point this out. This warms my heart, Dave, because we've been hooking up. I do it from golf courses, at hockey games. I was in the ring. When you do your coffee with Dave on Saturday mornings, I told you it's getting to be famous. Look at this. We're borrowing from it for IBS this year. It's going to be spectacular. Coffee and conversations. We might as well put with Dave right there too.
That's
right. Great.
Well, we'll be doing a lot of conversation around all of these topics at the International Builders Show. And listen, it's all about spreading the word and putting it out there. And just so everybody knows, Coffee and Conversation Networking Series, there's no monetary expense for me. That's us working together to grow things together. So I'm glad you put that out there, Greg. All right. I think it's time. I think it's the time with the greatest hairdo in all of the NAHB. Let's bring in John McGarry.
So it aren't getting teed up. Hey, John. Oh, he combed it. Dave, he combed it because he knew we were going to be looking at it.
That's right.
But just to point out, too, because people will remember John, he helped us out a couple times during IBS X. Remember when we had to go all virtual through COVID? And he has a lot of stats and very helpful information for everybody, especially first-time attendees, but everybody. So, John, thank you for helping us out today, and why don't you go ahead and take it away, right, Dave?
That's it, man. Greg, I knew you were going to run with that. You take it away, John. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what you're working on? We all know what you're working on, but honestly, and what hair products you use as well. But I think the biggest thing is, just for those that may not know you, our audience has grown so much since the last time you've been on this show. Why don't you let everybody know who you are, what you do, and then we're going to hop into what's happening there. Just take a minute to do that. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I have to say, if I ever lose this here, you guys are going to have nothing to talk about. I don't know,
I don't know if that's true.
So, John McGarry, Senior Vice President of Business Development and Brand Strategy. My team specifically works on sponsorships for IBS, registration marketing, exhibitor marketing, attendee marketing, our member savings program here at NAHB, our video production. So my team's got our hands in a lot of stuff, but right now we're just working on the IBS and making it one of the best events we've ever produced in years. And we're really excited about that.
Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you on. Go ahead, Greg.
No, I was going to say, John, and it's so exciting to see, and we've all been waiting for this, because we told everybody even last year we needed to walk last year. We had a great show, but this, now that we're back in Las Vegas and we're going to hit it on all cylinders, people are just totally pumped.
And, and Greg, good point. We had a great show in Orlando last year, coming off the heels of the Omicron, COVID and the whole thing. Yeah. Our members, the industry, really wanted to gather and get together, and we had a great show in Orlando. But wait till you see Vegas. I mean, I can tell you, we're having almost 1,000 people register per day once we hit the first of the year. People are really, really enthusiastic about getting back together. And especially in the West Coast, we haven't been to Vegas in 3 years. Last time we were there was 2020, right before COVID hit. We were one of the last shows to take place in Vegas, quite frankly, at the time. So we're excited to get back. Exhibitors, attendees are really excited about the show. And it's amazing. We have, as of today, on the show floor, we have over 1,300 exhibitors and brands. 200 of those companies are new. So they've never participated in the IBS show before. So that alone, there's going to be a lot for, NAHB members in the industry to see when they come to IBS. It's insane. We just hit the 40,000 people registered mark the other day, which is it's unbelievable. Last year in Orlando, the final was 37, which was great. but we've already surpassed that. We surpassed Orlando. So it's all looking really good. And statistically, about a large portion of those attendees are new to the show, so they've never been there. So there's going to be a lot of new people looking for those, best products and services and practices to apply to their home construction businesses when they get back. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's been great so far, and the momentum's just been building. It's been great.
And that's what it's really about. I mean, the show is so big, and we're going to get into planning. How do you plan for a show so you can see the things you want to see? That's a big topic here. But for everybody to really, truly understand the value of this show is, like you said, it is huge. Anything and everything you want to see, not only from the United States, but internationally. Big international contingent coming over as well to show their goods and to learn and to network. I mean, I think that's what it's all about. And I think, but you got to plan and you got to know where you want to go because there's that much happening. And like you said, it's one of the biggest shows in Las Vegas. And that's something to be proud about, right?
Yeah. And Dave and Greg, thanks for pointing that out. I mean, last year, you think about it, we literally didn't have any international companies and very few attendees. This year, depending upon where you're from, we got a lot. We've got a lot coming over from China. Big contingent from Poland. They got a lot of government subsidies to come over. Just a great presence. We've got attendees coming over from Japan, Africa. So that's really been picking up. I mean, I think right now it's over 3,000 attendees from internationally.
Sure.
Canada's back, Mexico's strong, so it's looking
great.
Good.
And that's what we need because it is a global economy now. It is a global market, and there are companies from here and over there that are all working together and using each other's products and sharing knowledge to build it better, and that's what it's all about. So, all right, we got some things to get through. So, John, why don't you give us a rundown? You want to hop into the slides that you have here, and we can keep popping away and show people what we got going on. So, go for it.
See if you can go back one. Perfect. Already talked about the top part of that. So what's new for everybody is the new West building. That wasn't even there 3 years ago.
Right.
When we produced IBS. It's a state-of-the-art building. It's really cool. In the hall, we're sharing it with KBIS. It's actually closer to Las Vegas Boulevard, so you can actually walk from the Boulevard to get to that West building. It's state of the art. It's great. And I'll show you a map of the campus later on.
Wow.
Talk about the education. A lot of the topics that Greg and Dave just talked about prior to this are being addressed in our conference, and 70% of that content is new this year. So we're really excited about that. Exciting zones on the show floor this year. We've got the construction performance zone, all the latest and greatest in building technologies. Absolutely new this year is craft technique zones. A lot of the builders came to us and said, you guys don't really address like trim, molding, cabinets that really fine tune wood building with, people who like to work with their hands and getting an education there. So we've got that on the show floor. We introduced last year two new zones that talk about innovations in the industry. So the startup zone are literally new and emerging companies with fantastic state-of-the-art products that they want to introduce to our audiences for the first time ever. So we had about 50 companies apply. We only accepted 20. So 20 of the best new and emerging products are going to be at the startup zone. The new product zone are typically new products introduced by existing companies in the industry. So we've got 50 plus products in that zone as well. That's in the South building. The New American Home never disappoints. We're up on the hills of Skya and Henderson. We've got buses going back and forth. A lot of the leaders in the industry, exhibitors on the show floor, provide the products and services for the home. It's great. It's state of the art.
Yeah. And John, we have the remodel as well, right?
Well, no, we actually don't have the remodel, a live remodel this year. We had trouble finding the right home, but we've got a virtual remodel.
Okay. That's what I meant to get to, because and not only that too, you have it set up too that you could tour in the parking areas that gets to a lot of those products. so that we're trying to bridge that that remodeler space as well as the new construction, because there's so many new products, especially energy efficiency and resiliency products.
Yep, we have the outdoor exhibits and the professional builder zone as well outside. Really excited about it. And you're absolutely right. A lot of those innovative modular structures tend to be out there. And if you're looking for all of that, everything the industry has to offer, and it's also very dynamic. They do a lot of demos out there and everything. And they're literally, you know, panelized modular homes that you can walk through and check out in person. So it's great.
Yep. There is a bunch of that. And just to point out, to go back on the New American Home, if I recall, and this is really important, it is also a high performance home. This home was built to some of the highest standards with the latest technology in high performance and science. So for those of you that are geeks out there, like on our Friday show, that is a place that you probably want to go check out for sure. So let me get back to your slides.
Yeah, no problem. Just two last things I want to mention here is that we're working with Professional Builder and producing the U40 Summit the day before the show. Really, you know, supporting all the people in the industry under 40. It's a great networking opportunity, great day of education. Really proud to be able to support that. And then Resorts World, last on the structure of everything. That's a new hotel complex just north of the West Building. So if you're looking to walk to things, like walk to a casino and experience new restaurants and bars and things like that, and entertainment, that's in walking distance. So, and that's brand new this year too. And it's really cool. A lot of great
that is
things
cool.
over
And
there.
just so you guys know, I think that's where we're staying this year. So if you want to run into Dave and Jennifer and others while we're there, that's a good place to find us. Probably belly up to some bar late at night. Who knows? We'll be having fun somewhere. So perfect. Go ahead, John. Sorry to interrupt.
All right, next slide. We're ready. All right. So as I mentioned, 40,000 attendees registered. We're 56% pacing ahead of the Orlando show, which is great. As I mentioned, a lot of the people are new. A lot of our special events are sold out. You know, it's a great sign that people are really excited to get back. And as I mentioned, international registrations are up. But I just thought it would be worth mentioning. We're at the perfect storm this year of home construction, innovation, and design, because we got 5 events occurring all at the same time during the same week, right? So obviously IBS, we're co-located with the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show for the 10th year. It's our 10-year anniversary with them. The National Hardware Show is new to the mix. They'll be in the building in the South Hall this year. And then the International Surfaces event, that's all about flooring and tile. That's at Mandalay Bay down the street. And then the Las Vegas Winter Market, which are permanent showrooms that are in a building downtown Las Vegas. We'll all have shuttle buses going back and forth. And the best feature of all, if you want to see these other events, your IBS badge will get you into any one of those events. So it's like the perfect storm of home improvement, construction, design.
Right.
You have it. And we're really excited about that. And 5 events, over 100,000 industry professionals could be in the building all at once, which is exciting. But I think one of the best pieces of advice I could give you now is on the next slide. We put out this year a Presale Planner. So that was available through Professional Builder magazine and via a link. It's all digital, so you can check that out in preparing for the show. On the next slide, I can review our campus map. So on the northwest part of that slide, that's the West Hall. And you might not be able to read everything here, but the most important thing I want to point out here is this blue line. It looks like an S going through. That's the new, what they call is the Vegas Loop. And it's Tesla cars that bring you through a tunnel, right, from the West Building to the Central Building all the way to the South Hall. And I highly, highly recommend you take advantage of getting in one of those Teslas. It's driven, you know, there's a driver. You just get in the car, it goes through the loop underground, and it drops you off at one of those 3 locations. If not, it'll take you about 20 minutes to walk from the West Hall to the South Hall.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. But yeah,
Greg, hold on a second, John. Hold on a
Yeah.
second. Greg, did I hear John say that there's one on hold for you and I?
Yes, dedicated.
Do they have the pickup truck? Because these are contractors. We could throw a whole bunch more right in the back of the bed of the truck if it's a Tesla,
Right.
and load up to go over there. But John, I know you're going through these things, but I have to say, 56% increase over where we were last year. That's no small numbers. And I know even in Orlando coming out of COVID, we still had really good numbers. There was a lot of great walk-ins that come on top of that as well. Vegas is always, at least as I know and remember, and you correct me if I'm wrong, always had a higher attendance and a big attendance. So to me, being 56% already ahead of the curve, and we're still, a month, a couple weeks out or what have you, that's huge to me. I mean, congratulations.
Absolutely.
I think that's a big deal.
You know what? And everything, despite, some of the headwinds we may face, people, there's no lack of learning what's new and innovative in the industry, the way they can keep prices down, right?
Right.
Resiliency, cost reduction, everything. People want to learn as much about that. And the remodeling side usually picks up if new home construction kind of lags. Remodeling tends to pick up. So, and then also everyone wants to come and network and talk about everything we were talking about today, right? Across the country and across the world. So,
for sure.
There's a lot of excitement behind it all.
And somewhere along the way, they figured they could build a tunnel underneath all the way across. Tell me that didn't just happen in the last year and a half when we were in Orlando. All of a sudden, they said we're gone. The IBS is getting so big, they need to build us a tunnel with Tesla cars. That's how I'm spinning it.
That's right. Nobody else is going to get to use it.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it took a little longer than that, but we're excited. In fact, that tunnel goes from the West Hall to Resorts World as well now. So even this is a little out of date.
Wow, I won't have to carry my camera gear. I'll be able to just hop in a Tesla provided by IBS in the convention center. You're really becoming my favorite friend, John. I like that. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Please. Awesome. So I did. If you want, we actually have here the showcase for IBS Planner, right? And in here, we have some other stuff we wanted to talk about. Such as the release of the app coming up, yes?
Yes. So that's coming up this week. We're going through our final testing just to make sure it's perfect for everyone listening here and who's going to be at the show. So one of the things I can always say about the app, we always use the latest technologies in presenting everything that's going on at the show. As you know, printed things like this, a month later, there's new things that we add or that are going on. So the app is the most updated source of information. That's all I could tell you. If there's a change in the meeting room for a session or anything like that, it's all covered in the app and it's all real time. So it's the best asset to use during the show.
And John, just to like, if something has to be rescheduled or a speaker gets held up on the air on his flight or whatever, that's where it is, and it really helps people out.
Yeah, and we provide, if you provide your phone number, obviously we could text you on updates as well. So there's valuable updates there, specials going on the show floor. But really if you think, if you think something is off or you can't find something, check the app because, things do change, but the app will have that change.
Does it have GPS? It can show me which way to turn and walk?
It'll show you how to get from one booth to another.
Right. That's what I mean. It actually shows you and what the numbers are. And you just have to look up because everything's labeled and all the numbers are there. So I love it. So why don't we talk about education now, right? Because this is a main topic of why people come to the International Builders. Seeing all the glitz and glamour and all the new products. If you're me, that's the place to be. But the real folks out here and the real builders, there's an education like no other that you get over the course of these couple days. And I think, really spend a lot of time if you're looking at going here to pay attention to the education, what's happening, when it's happening, because there's so much, unfortunately, you're going to have to just pick and choose.
Yeah. So the one thing I'd like to point out is see, I think it's Tuesday morning. Remember, I was talking about the startup zone, right?
Yeah.
We have a learning lab called the 412 Kickstart Startup.
Oh,
right?
tell me more.
And well, rumor has it, we got one of the best moderators in the industry to help us out with that one. Wonder who that is.
Well, Greg, congratulations, man. Yeah, no,
it's going across the bottom too.
Yeah, I know. Hey, listen, I mean, it's such an honor to be able to do this. You know, one of the things that we talk about on this show, and John, I appreciate you giving the shout out on that, is we need new ideas, new people, and that's what the Startup Zone is all about, to highlight those people. And this year, you know, you guys kind of came to the table and you said, listen, why don't we give them 12 companies, 4 minutes each to pitch, you know, their product and what they're doing. And I am the lucky person that gets to help them showcase what they do. And I'm very honored that you all picked me to do that. So thank you.
And if you enjoy, what is it, Shark Tank on TV, this is a little bit like that. They each got 4 minutes to present. Our advisory board picks the top one, leaders in the industry, but also the audience does as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch that.
Yeah, audience interaction is going to be key here. So you better come pumped up, because I'll be there pumped up, and we're going to have fun. And Lord knows I'll call you out if you ain't pumped up. So let's get pumped up. All right, keep going, John.
What else? Addressing a lot of the issues. One of the things I like to point out, which you guys were just talking about before, if you can attend the session of 8 strategies for leading your custom building or remodeling company through challenging times.
Yeah.
What better session to attend, right? Just based upon everything we just talked about. Build for rent, shifting your business to accommodate that the hot housing trends. And the outlook. Speak about Rob Dietz and Dave Tobin and the team here at NAHB, talking about housing trends, forecasts, and insights for 23. That's my vote for the must attend at IBS this year.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be interesting too, because I think a lot of what we're trying to do is have different people give their opinions, because on what to do, there's so much, Dave, and you made the point, you're going to have to prioritize, maybe pick some information up if you have to miss something, but it's going to be helpful to listen to people and hear their opinions. Because you could tell them we're scrolling a bunch of things across the bottom. There's all sorts of building systems information. We have the Pro Builder Show Village, and it's just, there's plenty. You know, it's almost like you're going to be stumbling into some things that are going to be winners that you just didn't have time to put on your calendar, but they're going to happen. You know, so at the end, you're going to have a lot of information you're leaving with.
Every year we've started planning weeks ago already, you know, with how we're doing our show, where we got to be. And every year we're so jammed. And then I get there and I'm like, oh my God, look at that. Like I'm like the kid in the candy shop. I'm like, how did we not know that? Because there's so much, you try and take it all in. But why don't we only have a few seconds here left. Why don't we run through? Jen's flashing stuff up, but I do want to mention some of these because, you know, building systems is big to my heart. And I think it's important we put it up there. Like Greg said, we're doing coffee and conversation networking series. There's going to be a ton of that: modular, panelized concrete, log, and timber frame construction. And if you do listen to the head economist for NAHB, this is going to be a big part of the future. It's not solving for everything. It's going to be a part of a kit of your toolbox that you have out there to use. And I think it's very important for people to know that. The Building Systems Council, which I am on the subcommittee for, this is a great place to go network and learn about things. So they're going to be in the North Hall 242, and there's a lot of learning opportunities. In fact, I believe Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, I hear it all the time, more Jen, less Dave. Jen will be presenting with myself in the BSC, and we've done this presentation before, and it's going to give you a look around the world at all the hottest technology and what we think is really happening. So it's a fun place to be. Tuesday the 31st, we got site versus modular, how the construction process differs. I might be moderating that one as well. So hopefully you guys and everybody can all attend. And then we also have jam session, hops and housing. There's so much. I mean, we got some lined up here, and I'm going to flash through, and I know Jen did. Right, here's the 4 Ps of the new multifamily ecosystems, which is good. Merrick says, looking forward to seeing you and Jennifer at IBS in a few weeks. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you. That's AutoVol, by the way, and they're speaking at the International Builders Show. So big shout out to Merrick and everybody out there. Wednesday, we have capitalizing on the benefits of offsite framing. Guys, what's so important about this is it's a future, right? It's not solving for everything, but there is something for everybody at the International Builders Show. Whether you're a stick builder, a developer, a modular person, I mean, this is where all the worlds collide, and the greatest things happen when we bring different worlds together, even on the passive house side. Look at the new American home, right? They're meeting that passive house standard or passive house or net zero ready. I got to look at what it was. But it was amazing when I started watching the videos. And amazing things happen when you bring people together to the same table and everybody just kind of talks.
Good point. Good point.
I love it.
This was good today, Dave. Thank you very much. And I think that a lot of benefits, and like you said, you know, the shelf life of this. So all the different, I mean, you're on LinkedIn, you're on YouTube. Everybody's going to get to see it across the board.
That's right.
And get all this information. And like John said, we're going to have the app for everybody this week, and you're going to be able to get all prepared and really take advantage of all it's offered.
That's it. And stay tuned because Dave Cooper's doing some fun things with the app. I'm going to simplify your lives. I may just show you all the greatest and latest that you need to look at on that app and save you the trouble of having to figure it out on your own. So hopefully we'll be able to do that here when it gets released in another week or so. So stay tuned on that. Brent Musson, good to see you. Did I miss anything, gentlemen? Is there anything I missed, John, that you need to make sure everybody knows? Or should they just make sure they pack their tennis shoes?
You know what? The only thing I can say is you were talking about, I saw the registration go down at the bottom about registering for the show. You could still save. So if you're a member, you save even more, but you still save over what you would pay if you register on site. So if you plan on coming, I'd register now.
That's right. That's right. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate you both joining us. And for the rest of you out there, you want to make sure you tune in Wednesday. That's right. We got Agorist coming on, bunch of Navy SEALs. $25 million they've raised so far out of California. You're not going to want to miss this show. It's going to be a big show. They are using AR, VR, robots, and many, many other things to build their home in 3 simple steps. So make sure you tune in for that. Greg, John, thank you so much for joining us today. Don't go anywhere unless you got to run. Other than that, everybody else, it's Monday. It's the day to start building it better. You got
and let's honor Martin Luther King today too.
That's it. A big Martin Luther King shout out. So,
all righty.
Hey, you know what, Greg? That's important. So that means most of the kids are all at home. So I get that. Enjoy your family while you're at it because those times don't come very often and they go by really quick. All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye now.